everybody, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bonus Time MonsterTalk podcast presented by MonsterTalk. I'm your host, Jackson Morris, owner of MonsterTalk. Today we have a fabulous panel of great MonsterTalk fans and YouTube sensations. We've got Ewan Ford, we have Avengers Racing Wayne Shiaki, and Reagan Samansky of MonsterTalk Lord. Everyone, how are we doing? How are we feeling? Getting ready for the first installment of the Bonus Time MonsterTalk podcast.
Give her up, Chutch.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll start out. I'm feeling good, baby. The Bonus Time podcast is going to be one for the ages. Tell you what, first episode's going to start out good. We got all the best talent here. We got Australians. We got Americans, the best combo in the world. And I think it's going to be a great time. And it's the perfect time to start because Monster Jam season's right around the corner.
Absolutely.
It's today.
Fellas, do we have anything else we want to add before we get straight into it?
I'm all right. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Well, as we know, the 2024 schedule dropped today. We have so much to go over, including all five of the tours. We'll start off with Stadium Championship Series West. The huge news, we're not doing tour colors anymore, or at least the tour names aren't behind the colors. They are actually West and East. We'll get into the reason why later. We're going to start right off with the lineup. We have 11 out of the 12 drivers and trucks. We have Adam Anderson and Gravedigger, Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger, Camden Murphy, the Bakugan Dragonoid, Thunder Roris with Colt Stevens, Caleb Blood, Soldier Fortune, Corey Rummel Megalodon, Monster Mutt Chris Kohler, Jim Kohler Avenger, Mike Christensen Vendetta, Velociraptor David Olfert, El Toro Loco with Joe Foley. Very interesting. We'll get back to that into a second. And a to-be-announced truck and driver. Let's also go over the stops list. January 6th to 7th will be at a brand new venue, San Francisco, California at Oracle Park. Then January 13th to 14th will be at San Diego, California at Snapdragon Stadium. January 20th to 21st will be at Anaheim, California at Angel Stadium. If you had enough of California, I have unfortunate news for you. We're back at San Diego, California at Snapdragon Stadium on the 27th and 28th. And if you still were happy or disgruntled by Anaheim, well, guess what? It's back February 3rd to 4th at Angel Stadium. Then we take a break from California. We go to Houston, Texas on February 10th at NRG Stadium. And guys, you won't believe it. There's another Anaheim stop. It's going to be at February 17th to 18th.
Oh my God.
I know, it's crazy. And then we're actually finished with the California stops. February 24th to 25th at Detroit, Michigan at Ford Field. March 2nd will be Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium. And then we have 3 non-points earning events at arenas, Albuquerque, New Mexico at Tingley Coliseum, March 15th to 17th. Nampa, Idaho at the Ford Idaho Center on April 5th and 7th, 5th to 7th. And finally, April 13th to 14th at Des Moines, Iowa at the Wells Fargo Arena. That was a mouthful to say, but I do want to say before I hand it over to you guys to talk about what your thoughts are about the lineups and the schedule. We don't have, it ends in March. I don't know if you guys remember, but the original Stadium Tour Blue schedule from last year ended or was supposed to end in Arlington. And obviously, as we know, as the year got closer, it actually ended in Kansas City. So I imagine that more venues will be added, like El Paso, people are talking about. For some reason, that isn't on there. Glendale isn't on here, so I imagine those would be added later. So it'll be interesting to see what those are added. But fellas, what do we think about Stadium Championship Series West in terms of the lineup and stops? We'll go over to our California native, the Lord Reagan. What do you think about Stadium Championship Series West?
Well, I'll tell you, I think I'm going to be seeing a lot of West. You know what I mean? I live in San Diego, so we're getting 4 shows there, 6 Anaheim shows. It's not too far away. 2 more in San Francisco. I don't think I'm going to be leaving the state for a very long time, and I don't think I'm seeing that East Tour either. So I'm pretty much going to be at all those. I can't complain, though. This is a very stacked tour. Adam Anderson and Ryan Anderson on the same series, both in digger trucks, has never been done in the history of Monster Jam. And that is going to be a battle. And I can't imagine. I don't know what I'm to expect with this one. And you also got Camden Murphy, Colt Stevens, the reigning World Finals Freestyle champion, all the Kohler trucks, David Olfert making a debut on stadiums. I'm just calling it right now. We still got another driver TBA. This is still, regardless, going to be the tour to watch for next year. I think so.
Absolutely. Ewan, we'll jump over to you. What do you think about Stadium Championship Series Red? Stadium Championship Series West. I'm already messing it up. Both the schedule and tours. Let's start with you.
It's going to be very interesting as we have obviously Adam and Ryan. We also have the first time that Adam and Tom have been apart since like 2018, I think.
Oh yes.
Because they want that Dennis and Tom rivalry usually. I guess not for the final Tom season. I guess that's very interesting. We have a stacked lineup of independents as always, and I can't wait for the California tour.
Wayne, let's head over to you. Final thoughts about Stadium Championship Series West, both the stops and the lineup.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think one of the biggest highlights is Oracle Park, San Francisco, California. The first weekend, it's a brand new venue. Instead of going to Oakland, they're going to be heading there, I believe. So it's cool to see that different change, and it's going to be another ballpark. So very exciting. I think the other cool thing is the amount of talent we have on this tour. And like you guys have been saying, Adam and Ryan on the same tour is going to be something to watch. Two Andersons on the same tour. The other tour doesn't even have an Anderson, but it does have Mentz. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I think one of the sad parts is I know Joe Foley was rocking axe, and he's a volunteer firefighter. So I'm sure he wanted to keep that truck, but El Toro Loco is a cool name to rep. He's got something new to do, and I think he's going to do pretty well, especially with his driving style and this brand new body. Great tour. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And there is something else I wanted to point out too, is that San Francisco, and this is kind of a theme later, for whatever reason, San Francisco is a non-points event. So the actual starting event for the tour isn't even for points. So I guess drivers can kind of feel out their truck. And you guys are absolutely right. Adam Anderson and Ryan Anderson on the same stadium tour is pretty exciting. It hasn't happened in a while. I think Reagan wants to jump in with something.
I hate to correct you. That is incorrect. It is a points event. It literally just says public on sale starts a week later.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Okay, well, that is great info to have there. My mistake. Wow, okay. Well, even still, we have a lot of other exciting things, exciting prospects on this tour, as you guys said, Joe Foley and El Toro Loco. I believe the original plan in general for this year was Joe was going to run El Toro, but then he was asked if he would rather run El Toro or Axe, and he chose Axe, obviously. So maybe we'll get another independent or something. I don't really know. But I'm really excited to see this lineup, and I have no idea what the to-be-announced truck and driver could be. Some have theorized that it could be like Tristan England or something, who hasn't even been mentioned on any of these, but we'll get back to that in a second. There are some other rumors, like maybe Brianna Mahan or something, but we'll save that for later. I think we've talked about everything Stadium West, so let's move over to the Arena Series. We're going to be talking about Arena Championship Series Central. Our lineup consists of Weston Anderson in Gravedigger, El Toro Loco with Elvis Linus, Scooby-Doo, Lindsay Reed, Jamie Sullivan, Monster Mutt Dalmatian, Megalodon with Michaela Talachka and Brandon Talachka in Just Get It Done 2. Again, more two to be announced spots. The schedule is looking like the following: Nashville on January 6th and 7th at Bridgestone Arena. January 13th to 14th will be the next stop for Kansas City at the T-Mobile Center. January 20th to 21st at Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Fiserv Forum. January 26th to 28th, Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center. February 2nd to 4th at Belmont Park, New York at the UBS Arena. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, February 9th to 11th at the PPG Paints Arena. Worcester, Massachusetts, February 16th to 18th at the DCU Center. Little Rock, Arkansas, March 9th to 10th at the Simmons Bank Arena. Grand Rapids, Michigan, March 22nd to 24th at the Van Andel Arena. Louisville, Kentucky, March 29th to 30th at Freedom Hall. The only non-points arena event will be at Columbia, South Carolina at the Colonial Life Arena. That will be April 6th to 7th. April 13th to 14th at Cincinnati, Ohio at the Heritage Bank Center. Second to last stop, April 26th to 28th at Columbus, Ohio at the Scottenstein Center. That is a mouthful to say, holy dooly. And finally, ending it all in May 3rd to 5th at South Haven, Mississippi at the Landa Center. Now, very interesting that, again, we don't have a full lineup. We only have we have 6 trucks open, 2 spots left remaining here. Weston Anderson, Elvis Linez, honestly a really good lineup so far. Be interesting to see who the other 2 are. Could be John Zimmer Jr. These are obviously 2 independents. Could be the Sims team. A lot of interesting stops here. I don't really have anything else to add. I don't want to drag it on. Fellas, what are your thoughts? Wayne, we'll start with you. What do you think about Arena Championship Series Central?
I'm excited. I think it's a really good lineup. One of the better arena tours this year. Weston Anderson obviously is a big name. He's won all of his series. And now he's going up against Elvis, Lindsay, Jamie, Michaela, and Brandon. I think that's a really good arena tour. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely want to attend a few shows. A new venue that Monster Jam had last year or 2 years ago was in Long Island, and it's the UBS Center in Belmont Park, New York. Looking forward to going to that, hopefully. Cool lineup. I think Weston is going to be having some competition, but for the most part, it's going to be him dominating. And exciting. Looking forward to it, and we'll see what is to come from it.
Ewan, we'll jump over to you. What are your thoughts about Arena Championship Series Central?
I think that it's definitely going to be the Weston versus Elvis tour, and hopefully Elvis could keep up with him so that Weston doesn't win like a month before the series ends. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But either way, it's going to be a fun tour with Weston and Elvis, and we'll see if what Jamie and Lindsay can do, and hopefully they can catch up as well.
And Reagan, over to you. What do you think about this tour?
I'm thinking it's pretty stacked. I've noticed on most of these arena lineups, it seems like they're moving to, instead of 1 woman driver, you're getting 2 woman drivers, at least at every event, which I noticed, and I'm like, that's pretty interesting. We've seen a lot of that on the arena stops post-World Finals this year as well. And I definitely think it's going to be between Weston and Elvis, regardless of who the other independents are. Who knows? But this could be Elvis's real time to shine because they're obviously number 1 and 2 on this tour. This year, he did incredible on that West tour against Tristan. But he's only going to be getting better, and this could be his first ever series championship win.
Absolutely, that would be super exciting, but he does have some tough competition, especially, again, when we don't know who those other 2 independents are. Could be John Zimmer Jr. And remember, John Zimmer Jr. this year finished 2nd ahead of some of the other fell drivers, so that could play really into this, I guess, the points. And it does go up until May, so they do have a long tour ahead of them. So it's going to be a long battle. But if Weston does what he's been doing the last 2 years, as Ewan said, he could enter into, like, I don't know, Little Rock or something as the points champion, which would be kind of funny. But I guess we'll see what happens with that. We'll move over to the next tour, Arena Championship Series East. We have Gravedigger with Kristen Anderson, El Toro Loco with Armando Castro, Dragon with Cody Saucier, a to-be-announced driver in Megalodon, Raminator with Mark Hall, Remunition with Kurt Kramer, Wildside with Zach Garner, and a to-be-announced truck, and driver. We have a long tour for Arena Series East, so let's get straight into that. Florence, South Carolina, January 6th to 7th at the Florence Center. I believe at the time of looking at this, I believe it is a non-points event, which doesn't really make sense, but oh well. January 13th to 14th will be in Greensboro, North Carolina at the Greensboro Coliseum. January 19th to 21st at Baltimore, Maryland at the CFG Bank Arena. January 27th to 28th at Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena. Providence, Rhode Island, February 2nd to 4th, at the Amica Mutual Pavilion. February 9th to 11th at Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania at the Mohegan Sun Arena. February 16th to 18th at Cleveland, Ohio at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And March 9th to 10th, Tupelo, Mississippi at the Cadence Bank Arena. That is a non-points earning event. Biloxi, Mississippi will be March 16th to 17th at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. March 22nd to 24th at Hidalgo, Texas at Payne Arena. March 29th to 31st at Macon, Georgia, the Macon Coliseum. That is the final non-points earning event. Actually, the last one at Salinas, California on May 5th is also a non-points earning event. Greenville, South Carolina, April 6th to 7th at the Bond Secures Wellness Arena. April 12th to 14th at Huntsville, Alabama at the Von Braun Center Props Arena. April 19th to 21st at North Charleston, South Carolina at the North Charleston Coliseum. And the final event for points, April 26th to 28th at Colorado Springs, Colorado at the Broadmoor World Arena. Another very interesting lineup here, guys. We have a lot of exciting things on here. Against Salinas being put for Arena Series East. I believe that was something that happened last year and that got changed to Stadium Tour Blue or whatever. I had a mix of Stadium Tour Blue and the Arena drivers. Interesting to see a to-be-announced Megalodon driver. Someone like Bernard would fit this quite well. And again, I don't really know why they haven't announced him yet, but that is a point that we'll get into later. Armando Castro and Cody Saucier and Christian Anderson all battling out on this series. Honestly, I think we might be able to crown a new series champion with El Toro Loco and Cody Saucier. You know, and I wanted to say this was brought up in my comment section a bit ago. When we talk about drivers, I always critique. I think it's fair to critique their driving style. You know, I think that's kind of, you know, you're critiquing them. You're not critiquing them as a character. You're critiquing their driving, and I think it was something that we do with Monster Talk. We always critique things, and that's kind of just the style that I have. But never do I ever critique the person as a whole, and I don't think that the drivers should take anything that I say about their driving personally. So with that being said, I think Christian Anderson won't be able to keep that Gravedigger legacy of winning another series championship because Armando and Cody are tough competitors, and I think that one of those two might be able to claim a series championship. But again, we have two to be announced spots. We have I believe will be an independent for Team Ghana, and a to be announced Megalodon driver, so we don't know who that'll be. So there's a lot of different ways that this series could go, and with it going all the way up until May 5th and so many different stops and only 3 of them being non-points arenas, it's anybody's game. So, Ewan, we'll jump to you. What are your thoughts of Arena Championship Series East for 2024?
I think this is going to be the closest Arena Series we have in 2024, as we have Kristen, Armando, Cody, and Zach Garner. Those are going to be the top 4. If Kristen can bring back her 2022 energy, she could be up there. And it's just really consistent with all these trucks. And the Arena Series East ending in Salinas. It's always a great thing to see that, as always. But yeah, great tour.
All right, well, Wayne, let's go over to you. What do you think about Arena Championship Series East?
I'm excited. Like Ewan said, I think this is going to be one of the top arena tours where it's super close in points. I understand where you're coming from saying that about Tristan. However, we have to remember that she's gone against Tony. She's gone against some big names that do incredible freestyle skills, donuts, racing all around. And she just has a unique driving style. I mean, especially in freestyle, even if she doesn't get the biggest air, she has the most throttle in keeping the fans super excited. And being that she's one of the main people to do mini flips, it's going to be hard to beat her. But I can see that it could be Armando's, it could be Cody's, and don't forget about Zach Gardner. He is definitely a heavy hitter. He just may have truck issues sometimes, like anyone else, which is unfortunate in the past series. But if he has a full clean season, I think he could be one of the people ended up in the top 3, depending on what goes on. And then we got to see our next TBA driver to really see if this is going to be the money tour, if this is going to be the one where it comes down to a final event. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a great lineup, and I think it's going to be one of the closest ones.
Absolutely. And just before I hand it over to Reagan, I just thought about this just now. I still believe that this counts even with whoever is added to this tour. But as of currently looking at this lineup, we are guaranteed a brand new points champion no matter who wins. Kristen never mind. I'm sorry. Kristen has won. So 7 out of the 8 drivers have a chance of winning a series championship. My apologies. I mixed that up. But Reagan, what are your thoughts about Arena Championship Series East?
I think this one's really going to be coming down to whoever's got the best truck. Whoever's got the cleanest truck is going to win this series. Because it could take only one weekend. One weekend could have 5 shows, and you're down hundreds of points, like actually. So that is going to be something interesting to watch, because really, like, any of those 4 that we've already been talking about could win this. Like, even Zach, because Zach is on, I would say Zach is on the top level of all these guys. He just doesn't have the Dragon or the Gravedigger. You know what I mean? So with Zach in there, he's going to be stealing tons of points from Armando. He's going to be stealing tons of points from Kristen. And so is Cody. They're going to be, everyone's going to be trying to get them wins. You know what I mean? So if Kristen's up and then maybe she's out one event, Zach could come in, get 8 points ahead of her. You know what I mean? And then he's in the lead. This one's going to be flip-flopping the entire series.
By the way, don't forget about Kurt Kramer and Mark Hall. I think they could also steal some points, get some donut wins, racing wins. We've seen them do it. So those 2 competitions are really good at. Freestyle and skills, it's just hard to beat all the other people. But we got a chance to see them get a few wins. Don't forget.
Absolutely, and especially for timed racing as well. Those are something that the haul trucks are notorious for winning. That Hemi horsepower really gets them around the corners easily and able to take those time racing wins. Reagan, I believe I interrupted you. Is there anything that you wanted to add there at all?
I was just going to finish that. Mark Hall and Kurt Kramer got some of the fastest trucks in this, faster than the Monster Jam trucks. We don't know really the other independents and stuff. And I saw them on the West Tour, like, plenty of times this year, and I saw a bunch of racing and donut wins right there. That's tons of points. So
absolutely. Well, we are down for 2 more tours left. We're going to jump back to stadiums. For Stadium Championship Series East, we have Tyler Menninger in Gravedigger, Tom Mance Max D. Tom's final Monster Jam season, his competitive season. Still cannot get over that. One of the saddest things. But hopefully he has a fantastic tour. We have Barry Musawa in Zombie, Great Clips Mohawk Warrior Bryce Kenny, Lucas Stabilizer, Cynthia Gauthier, Todd LeDuc in Megalodon, John Gordon Bad Company, Shaker, Ryan Disharoon, Jester, Matt Pagliarulo, Kraken, Nick Pagliarulo, El Toro Loco, Jamie Garner, and Black Pearl with Cole Vernard. Over to the schedule, it is looking like the following. January 13th to 14th, be it San Antonio, Texas at the Alamo Dome. January 20th to 21st, Houston, Texas at the NRG Stadium. January 27th to 28th at St. Louis, Missouri at the Dome at America's Center. Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Lucas Stabilizer at Lucas Oil Stadium, February 3rd to 4th. Tampa, Florida, Wayne's home, February 10th to 11th at Raymond James Stadium. February 17th to 18th at Minneapolis, Minnesota at US Bank Stadium. February 24th to 25th at Miami, Florida at the Lone Depot Park. March 2nd, Orlando, Florida at Camping World Stadium. March 9th at Jacksonville, Florida at Everbank Stadium. March 23rd to 24th, a huge gap will be at Hartford, Connecticut at the XL Center. That is a non-points earning event. April 6th will be at Syracuse, New York at the JMA Wireless Dome. April 13th to 14th at Atlanta, Georgia at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. April 20th at Foxborough, Massachusetts at Gillette Stadium. April 27th, Denver, Colorado at Empower Field at Mile High. And ending the tour off on May 4th at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the Lincoln Financial Field. Interestingly, this is the only stadium stop, the only tour so far that we actually have all 12 drivers. Obviously, it is subject to change. Anything can happen and someone may get pulled or moved to another tour. But as of currently, we have the full lineup. So it's very interesting. Kind of, we can give the most complete thoughts about, since at this time, that is what the tour is going to be. And that is what we are going to see. Very interesting stuff here. As a point we will sort of bring up later, no California stops. I do know that this is mainly because the stadium series have been rebranded to East and West, obviously to reflect that. And I just realized as well, we are missing a stop. Good Jackson messed up his graphics. We also will be going, I know, crazy, right? Birmingham, Alabama. I know, it's crazy. There's a stadium stop at Birmingham, Alabama at Protective Field. If someone can bring that up while I'm talking about it, that would be fantastic. Just for the dates.
March
Protective
23rd.
Stadium. March 23rd. Okay, so that is where it goes in. I'm really excited to see a brand new stadium start. In addition to Oracle Park, there's this brand new stadium at Birmingham. So we've got a great lineup of drivers here. As we were saying earlier, I was really worried when they were going to announce these that they were going to again just swap a few drivers over like they did last year, but they've really mixed up the lineups now. They've got Tyler on different to Ryan. Tyler's now on the series with Tom, and Bryant isn't on the same tour with Adam. So I think they've really balanced out these lineups. They got a great field of drivers. I'm just really excited to see what they've got here for Arena Championship Series East. Reagan, we'll start with you this time. What are your thoughts about Stadium Championship Series East for 2024?
Well, this one I cannot wait for because it is Tom Ment's retirement tour. And we already heard that he's going to be running like tons of special Max D bodies from the past, bringing those back, which sucks because I'm going to be attending so many West shows. I'm going to be missing a lot of that. But that is still just as, for the culture, the sport and all that, going to be something to remember, something that's going to be very special to fans like me, like you guys. And the lineup is very stacked, just like how I said, West is incredibly stacked. This one will probably have tons of better shows than that other tour. This one's good. Like, they're both neck and neck is what I'm trying to say. Very interesting to see Todd LeDuc, Tyler Menninga on a tour, as well as Tyler Menninga, Tom Meents. That's going to be an incredible dynamic to watch because completely different driving styles for all three of them. And they've all won championships before. So we're going to see who comes out on top of this. And the independent lineup on it, too. Incredible.
Well, Wayne, anything you want to add on to that or your thoughts about Stadium Championship Series East?
Yeah, I think this is going to be my favorite based on the venues that are going, the talent. Like Reagan said, it's Tom Meents' retirement tour. Obviously, all the fans, we're very sad as well. But it is so nice to see a driver get a retirement tour, unlike Dennis and many other drivers that didn't have the chance due to injury or just being let go before that could happen. But, I mean, there's so many cool venues on here. One of the coolest is Atlanta Motor Speedway that Reagan's been to, I've been to, and it's literally a NASCAR venue, so they have a huge front stretch to do a track. I think that Alabama Stadium show is going to be really cool. I've actually driven past it while I was going to Tennessee and visiting family. It is a pretty cool venue. And I was saying to myself at that point last year, what if Monster Jam goes here? Just as a thought. And 1 year later, here they are. They're going to that venue. So really cool. And other than that, I mean, like everybody said, the lineup is stacked. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I think it's so cool to have new talent against, the old school guy, Tom Mentz versus Tyler Meninga. That's going to be so cool. And it's cool that they swapped a good amount of drivers, so not the same lineup. Tampa, obviously, hometown show. Looking forward to it. I'll probably be seeing this tour most of the time. They'll be in Florida 3 or 4 times, and looking forward to it. And Philadelphia to end the tour. That's going to be an interesting one.
Well, Ewan, you're left. What do we think of Stadium Championship Series East?
I think it's going to be a good tour. Obviously, you got Tom and Tyler. That dynamic's going to be interesting to see it like form. We also got just a ton of good stops. We have basically the Florida tour, as this is interrupted by Minneapolis in the middle of it for some reason, but we move past that. Yeah, just a very good tour and a good tour that Tom can send off to.
Absolutely. Well, we have one more series to get through, but we're not at the end of the podcast. We still got a lot more to talk about. So let's talk about Arena Championship Series West for 2024. Interestingly, the lineup with the most to be announced trucks with 3. So we'll get to that in just a second. Gravedigger will be driven by Brandon Vincent. Megalodon will be driven by Ashley Sanford. Thunderosaurus will be driven by Tony Oakes. Dalton Widener in Jurassic Attack, Bailey Shea in Monster Dalmatian, and to be announced drivers in El Toro Loco, Earthshaker, and Velociraptor, presumably the TMS Velociraptor, the blue one. The schedule is looking like January 5th to 7th at Salt Lake City, Utah, at the Delta Center. January 12th to 14th at Tacoma, Washington, at the Tacoma Dome. January 19th to 21st at Reno, Nevada, at the Reno Sparks Event Center. January 26th to 28th at Sacramento, California, the Golden One Center. February 3rd at Fargo, North Dakota, at the Fargo Dome. February 9th to 11th at Denver, Colorado, at the Ball Arena. February 17th to 18th at Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, at the Paycom Center. February 24th to 25th at Wichita, Kansas, at the Intrust Bank Arena. March 1st to 3rd at Portland, Oregon, at the Motor Center. March 15th to 17th at Fresno, California, at the Save Mart Center. March 22nd to 24th at Tucson, Arizona, at the Tucson Arena. March 29th to 30th at Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Pinnacle Bank Arena. April 5th to 7th at Green Bay, Wisconsin, at the Resch Center. April 13th to 14th at Albany, New York, at the MVP Arena. April 27th to 28th at Evansville, Indiana, at the Ford Center. And May 4th to 5th at Moline, Illinois, at the Vibrant Arena. Just before we get into thoughts, Albany, Evansville, and Moline all will be non-points earning events. So the finale for Arena Championship Series West will be in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, let's talk about this tour. Very interesting to see here that there are 3 spots. I feel like we can kind of guess Manuel Solorio, Monster Jam's newest driver, probably taking that El Toro Loco spot. And I think it's basically confirmed that the last 2, well, especially with Velociraptor, that we will essentially Arena Championship Series West, will be Team Throttle Monster for the last 4 independent drivers. Again, we've got Earthshaker probably on one of their God knows how many chassis they have at this point, like 10 or something. And then Velociraptor probably on the 9. There's so many I can't count. And the Velociraptor on the Metal Shop chassis. Again, we don't know the drivers either. Very interesting lineup that we have here. a lot of people, I think, have kind of just put it away that Brandon Vincent is just going to sweep the tour and run away with it. But honestly, I think the competition from Tony Oaks, who, yes, did finish, I believe, third in the series standings this year with Brandon, still obviously is a threat. And Dalton Widener, again, many people last year thought he was going to be sleeping in the points. I think that he has, third or second, probably second, locked in. And he could even go the extra mile and win the series if Brandon isn't on the top of his game. I guess we'll figure out. And guys, remember, he may not be a Monster Jam points winner, but he is the 2022 toughest Monster Truck Tour points champion. So that is an accolade in of itself and can help him, I guess, find that motivation to take this series title. Wayne, let's start with you. What do we think of Arena Championship Series West for 2024?
I'm excited. I know Brandon, Tony, and Dalton. Those are the three main guys here on this tour. Everyone else is great, but those people are really going to be shining, and it's going to be between the three of them, I'm sure, except for whoever else gets announced. But very exciting. I mean, Brandon is known for his crazy moments. He's one of the best guys in an arena. I know he's very consistent with his skills competition. His freestyles have been very wild in the past, as you've seen. But I think Tony Oaks has a really good chance as well with Thunder Roris. It's a really cool truck. People love it. And not only that, it's a fan favorite. So when it comes to Judges Zone and freestyles, if Tony can keep his game like he's been doing, I think he'll be up there in the points, winning freestyles, taking racing competitions. He's one of the fiercest competitors. And like you mentioned, Dalton is really competitive. He took his talent from Toughest Monster Truck Tour and he brought it over to Monster Jam. He's treating it really like it's a sport, it's a competition, not staying relaxed. So that's why you see him going so hard on the skills competition, on freestyle, trying his best every weekend. It would be so cool to see him win a tour, but I definitely see him finishing top 3.
Reagan, we'll go over to you. What are your thoughts about Arena Championship Series West for next year?
West looks great. Another like the tours, I could say like all 5 of them are like solid. Where like in years past, it's kind of like, what are you doing? But all of them this year are actually looking really good. For the independents, we got 4 Team Thrill Monster Trucks, so they're taking over. They got half the field there, just them. And I could definitely see Brandon taking this one like he always does. It's impossible for him to lose. He's one of the best drivers in Monster Jam right now. But the 2 dinosaurs, Thunder Roris and Jurassic Attack, Dalton and Tony, are definitely going to be giving him a run for his money. And don't sleep on Manuel. I just saw him this past weekend in his debut weekend, his 3rd ever show with Monster Jam. And he won a racing competition already, like new chassis and everything, like in his first weekend. This guy can be insane. And I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the series, maybe 2-3 months in, that he's passing up guys like Tony or Dalton, like he's got potential.
Absolutely. And Ewan, over to you before we end off this little segment about the tours and all of that. Ewan, what are your thoughts of Arena Series West?
As you said, I kind of written it off as Brandon's gonna win this, but then I saw like, yeah, Tony can go, and Dalton can certainly be up there too. This tour can go on, but Brandon, I think I have Brandon winning it all the way, but Tony and Dalton are make it close. I know that.
Absolutely. Well, let's there's some final notes here that I have in regards to the tours and all the things announced today. First off, pre-sale tickets for all tickets as of the release of this podcast should be on sale. And I believe, Reagan, you were saying earlier that I believe World Finals tickets are already on pre-sale.
It is. I got them.
Absolutely. So make sure to check if you guys wanting to buy any tickets for any events. Now is the time. Finish watching the podcast, preferably. But then afterwards, head on over to monsterjam.com to purchase your tickets for any of these events. However, if you want to wait for the general public sale, all tickets again. That is September 19th. So if you want the pre-sale tickets, the best tickets in the house, you want to be sitting front row, all the best spots, you want to buy them right now. You have to be a Feld preferred customer. You can sign up on monsterjam.com. But if you want to wait like everyone else, September 19th at 10 a.m., I think Eastern time or something, you want to check it out then. But if you want pre-sale tickets, do it right now. Important things to note. I was hinting at this earlier, so let's go all of these in order. First off, there are lots of drivers that are just absent from this thing. The most interesting to me is Tristan England, who was literally in the funny little game night thing that he did. By the way, whoever's idea was that was both the greatest thing ever and the thing ever. But Tristan, who was acting in that, hasn't even had his tour announced yet, which I find super surprising. Along with that, we have drivers like Manuel, who hasn't been announced, Bernard, Brianna, Hunter Souza, Jeff Souza, John Zimmer Jr., the Sims team. There's a lot of spots still left, and I'm puzzled as to why they haven't been announced yet. Another thing that I was telling you earlier as well, the Marvel trucks nowhere to be seen. Bari's supposed to be driving Black Panther, and he still is for the Australian tour that I cannot wait for. And maybe some other international stops if there's more that gets announced for this year. But the Marvel trucks are nowhere to be seen. Maybe they're just an international stuff for now. I guess we'll find out. So for that point, I'll hand it over to you guys, whoever wants to start first. What do we think of all these drivers that are absent from these lineups, and where do we think that they will end up? Whoever wants to go first, jump on in.
Well, you're right. Tristan is obviously the big one that everyone is really confused about. He's a multiple-time series champion. He is the MonsterJam World Finals Racing champion currently. And, look at his career. He's been around almost, close to 10 years now, probably 7 or 8. And he's got quite a few series championship wins, just won the finals. I think it's stadium time, and I think they know it's stadium time. I could whether it's an Earthshaker or not, I could definitely see him filling that TBA spot in Stadium Series West, because if I'm correct, all the independents have been announced for that. So we have one Feld driver to slip in there, and is it going to be either Brianna coming back because she is driving in a couple weeks, I saw, or Tristan? Those are kind of the two that are floating around for that spot, and I think it's going to be Tristan.
All right, Wayne, we'll head over to you. What do we think about all these drivers that are absent?
Well, it's not fully surprising. I think there might be something going on with Tristan where he's just dialing in the contract, or they have some type of plan for us coming up that may surprise the fans. Not sure, but I'm sure he's going to be on a stadium tour. He won the World Finals Racing. He's a World Finals champion of one of the big competitions. So it's hard to see him not being a big lineup. If not those stadiums, then definitely an arena. And like you said, Manuel, I think he's going to be in an arena tour. He's definitely a prospect coming up, one to look for in this upcoming season. Like Reagan said, he did incredible. And he got a racing championship. That was really big for him. This is just the start of his MonsterJam career, and I think it's so nice to see an actual monster truck driver come in and be used to the trucks and do so well already. He's got great momentum. He's getting used to the skills competition, and obviously he's got a thing for racing and donuts. So exciting for him to be in it. And not sure about all of these other drivers. I think Bernard will definitely be in, and looking forward to seeing who else gets into the lineups. But yeah, definitely weird to see a few missing drivers that we've expected to be in it. We'll see what happens with the upcoming lineup changes.
Absolutely. And Ewan, just before I head it over to you, I just wanted to quickly cut in. I was just thinking about this earlier in regards to what it is. I believe that the only suitable spot for Tristan to slot himself in is that Stadium West tour. That is assuming he drives Earthshaker. He can't drive something like Megalodon like he did in 2021, because both Stadium tours currently already have Megalodon, and I imagine they wouldn't mess around Todd and put him in something else just so they could do that. But maybe they could. I guess they could. So I guess that's where he could fit. But I think it's very interesting, too, that we were all kind of the assumption. I've said it in videos as well, that Armando Castro was going to be promoted to that Stadium Series driver. Then maybe they'd bring out someone else in, or they'd put in, I guess they could slot Brianna in so that they would have 2 El Toro drivers, I guess Jamie and Armando, and then for arenas, they'd have Elvis and now Manuel, but now they are doing they've got 5 El Toro Locos across all tours. So I guess that's interesting to see. However, Ewan, back to you. We've talked about this the most just before the podcast started. We were just like spitballing stuff, trying to figure out who's on which tour. So what are your thoughts about all these drivers that aren't been listed yet?
It's certainly interesting not to see Tristan, because I think the only spot for him is on the Stadium Tour right now. Unless, I guess it really is the only spot. But I think, it's my speculation, but I think Arena Series Central is really the only spot that the Sims team can be slotted in. So I think the Sims team's going to Central. And, yeah, but I saw a little earlier that people were thinking that Sparkle Smash was going to come in on stadiums, and like they're gonna get Brianna to do it, and I was just why would they do that?
Well,
hey, you do not know. You never know.
We never know.
Nobody knows.
We get Tristan and Sparkle Smash,
Sparkle Smash Invasion 2024. Calling it now. Everyone can make the memes. Someone will re-upload
a lot
this
of merchandise.
True.
Did,
Well, especially since they've had it as a toy. They featured it in Steel Titans 2, and they've re-trademarked that name. I think it's a possibility. But if it happens, I don't know.
It's a family sport. I see it happening. I mean, like Reagan said, all the merchandise that could get sold. So many kids that love that truck. It might be the new Gravedigger. Who knows?
Maybe in a few years we won't be having Gravedigger as the star of the show. To be Sparkle Smash and
Megalodon.
True, something like that. Yeah. We have some other stuff to talk about, most of which we've already talked about before. Joe Foley and El Toro Loco, very exciting prospect. I'm just going to join all of the last points that I had together. There are new stops: San Francisco and Birmingham, Alabama. San Francisco has a really interesting history. For those that love their Master Jam history, this isn't the first time that Master Jam has been to San Francisco. In fact, it's not the first time that they've been to this venue. They went there from the years of 2004 to 2007. However, then, as most venues are, they went under a name change and renovations and all of that. So that used to be known as AT&T Park. Again, they went there from the years of 2004 to 2007. Now they're returning back to Oracle Park for a very exciting stop. Birmingham, Alabama is a first time in general, so it's very exciting to see. And as we were talking about, the stadium tours are now being rebranded to East and West, with West having a huge California tour. I actually detailed it out. 6 Anaheim shows in total across 3 different weekends, 4 San Diego shows over 2 weekends, and 2 San Francisco shows as well. So do the math there. That's a lot of stops. Not only that, but the World Finals, which we'll get to in just a second. There's some very exciting stuff about that in Inglewood, California. So in regards to everything that I've just mentioned, fellas, what do we think about all these new stops, these new stadiums? I know we talked about it a little bit before, and this huge California tour. I think it's only fitting that I go back to Reagan once again, the Californian native. What do we think about all of what we just talked about?
Well, so I'm very excited to see 2 brand new stadiums are going to visit this year. Well, not San Francisco is not brand new, but it's old enough to be. It is a baseball stadium, so we can only hope and pray, cross our fingers, that we get sort of an Anaheim-style thing there, because Anaheim's one of the most unique stadiums they go to because of the track layout. If they do, which who knows, I'm 50-50 on it right now, that is going to be one of the new bucket list stops to hit. And with Birmingham, Alabama, oh my God, I cannot wait. I've been to Alabama one time in my life, and I can't wait to go a second. That is going to be such a cool – it's a college stadium too. It's going to be a really cool, intimate feel once you're inside that building. And those are 2 shows that I guarantee you I will be at next year.
Ewan, we'll go over to you. What do we again? We've talked the most about this before the podcast. What do we think about all of these new tours and all the new stops that we're going to, and the huge California tour?
Yeah, it's very interesting that Joe Foley's in El Toro. We got San Francisco. I think seemingly replacing Oakland, as we don't know if Oakland's going to come back after World Finals as a quarter 2 stop, but it seemingly has replaced Oakland for the tour itself.
Thank God.
And yeah, just as of course in Alabama, the College Stadium. It's gonna be fun to see these shows, to see how their first shows go, or I guess their first show back, and see how they go.
Reagan, I think you had something you wanted to say.
No, I just said thank God that Oakland's gone.
Yeah, especially after the torrential down. Honestly, this is what I'm most surprised about. They're doing this huge California tour, and what happens if it rains again? It's just Mudfest, Mudfest, Mudfest. None of these are indoors, so for your sake, whoever goes, mainly Reagan, because he said he's gonna go. I pray for you that it's not a torrential downpour. Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't mind at this point. It'll be fine. I'll survive the rain. I mean, that rain in San Diego this year, oh my God, I've never seen a show that muddy in my life. And it's fun. I love it. It's super fun to watch.
I wish I was at that show. That show is amazing. Like, I don't care if it was like the worst, like momentum and show-wise. Just seeing Tyler's run and Ryan, that was insane. Anaheim was muddy, but it was nothing like San Diego.
Oh yeah, that was an absolute like mud fest. But Wayne, while we're still focusing on you, what do we think of? I know you've talked about this before, but any final thoughts about this huge California tour, Oracle Park for San Francisco and Birmingham, Alabama?
I'm excited, man. I've never been to San Francisco for obviously a Monster Jam or just in general, other than being a connecting airport. So it should be exciting to see if San Francisco lives up to the name. But I'm excited to go to that venue. It's got a lot of history for monster trucks. And like Reagan said, hopefully it doesn't turn into like a Miami type track. Hopefully it becomes another Anaheim. But that's wishful thinking these days. We'll see what happens. And the Alabama Stadium is going to be so cool. Oh, man. Like I said, I dropped my brain.
Oh, no.
Like I said, Alabama's going to be cool. That is a college stadium. It's local. It's a smaller area, so it's like the perfect size for a Monster Jam show. I'm sure it's a little smaller than the San Diego Stadium, but it's definitely got to be one of the coolest probably for seeing action right in front of your face.
Definitely. And, in terms of seeing what San Francisco is going to be all about, we don't have to wait long. It's the first stop on their tour. So the countdown to the 2024 season is on. And speaking of countdowns, the countdown to the 23rd annual Monster Jam World Finals is on. Now, we have some very interesting things that weren't revealed in the schedule drop thing that was today. Rather, looking at good old Ticketmaster and Monster Jam's own website. So let's start off with the first thing we have here. We actually have the schedule. And I think this would be the best part of you having Wayne and Reagan, you guys here, because you guys can attest to this. The interesting schedule of having two-wheel and racing during the pit party, two-wheel and high jump. I got ahead of myself because we actually have the pit party entire schedule here. So as you know, it is May 18th. They have everything in one day. Qualifying, I imagine, will be on the 17th. Pit party will be at 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So a huge pit party throughout the day. Lots of stuff to do, lots of trucks, I imagine. But here's where the interesting things happen. Two-wheel and high jump will be during the pit party again, so not entirely, I guess, crazy to see there. Not really surprising. Two-wheel will be at 1 p.m. to 1:50 p.m. and then high jump will be at 3:15 to 3:45. In between that, at 2 p.m. to 3:10 p.m. will be the racing competition. That is a huge shock that they're hosting arguably the second biggest championship during the pit party. Very interesting.
Wait,
we'll come back
what?
to yeah. Well, we'll get into thoughts about that. We'll get into thoughts about that in just a second. Trackside will begin at 5:30 and freestyle starts at 7 p.m. So, before we talk about the other stuff about Ticketmaster that was on there, obviously this is huge news. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I figured that they would have two-wheel and high jump during the pit party. They did this last year. It was obvious, or sorry, this year. It was obviously very surprising. So I guess to see it again, it's not very surprising. But racing, I still cannot get over this. To me, this kind of suggests that they're gonna have huge like track changes. Obviously, high jump is straight after. So after high jump, they will do whatever they need to do with the track. So I think this is very interesting, and this is why I mentioned in regards to Wayne and Reagan, you guys experienced this last year, and I know that with the weather coming into effect, it was, let's just say, for lack of better terms, not the most pleasant experience you guys have probably ever had, but it is indoors, so at least I don't know what they're going to do with all of the trucks. Well, they'd have to have it outside, so I guess in terms of the actual action on the track, it's shielded from all of the, outside weather stuff. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts, not just about obviously what we've talked about, but how you think this will affect the fan experience and all of that, obviously with this huge pit party and stuff happening during the events. So Wayne, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts in regards to everything we just talked about?
Well, I'm pretty surprised. I didn't realize, as much as I'm sure a lot of other people realize, that schedule. I don't understand if that means Monster Jam doesn't prioritize racing as much anymore because everyone comes for freestyle, really. That's just, the go to one or two shows a year, if that. Or if that just means, like you said, there's going to be a big track change. So very unique stance and move there. I know I've been to one Supercross event in Tampa, and they run the race like that where they do a pit party for about 5 or 6 hours, and they'll run like qualifying races and the first two not major races during their pit party, but then they'll bring it back and pit party will be over and they'll have the whole main event right after that. So really unique approach there. I don't think a lot of the super fans or the big fans of the sport are going to like that, especially knowing that they want to go meet and see every driver. So next off, I don't know how it's going to work getting from the pit party down to the track in time if you want to do it in between, because just getting down from the entrance of the stadium to at least the hundreds or 200s is at least probably 5 to 10 minutes. It takes a while. The stadium's basically cut into the ground, so you get up to the 300 or 400s level when you go into the stadium, and you have to take escalators and elevators all the way down. So that's another thing. Really unique approach. We're gonna have to see what happens. We're gonna have to see if it just is a big track change, and I'm sure fans are gonna be a little upset. I'm sure Reagan has something to say about it.
Well, Reagan, we'll go over to you. What are your thoughts about this?
I just pulled up the schedule on my computer right now. We got 10 a.m. to 5:30 pit party. I feel sorry for the drivers that have to sit through that.
Yeah.
We got two-wheel and racing first. So I guess they're kind of doing it like how they used to, where 2-day format. You got two-wheel racing first day, and then high jump freestyle the second half. But high jump's in that first half too. So
yeah,
I don't know. It looks like it's going to be like a 3-ish hour show in the afternoon. Then they got about another 3 hours to do what they're going to do. And then there's freestyle, that's supposed to go 3 hours too. My gosh. Okay. So this is going to be quite the show, guys. I think the only reason for them doing racing and, all the other competitions beforehand is that they have to change the track. And that's what everyone else was thinking, is that the floor size in SoFi is probably the smallest floor size, with the dumpsters on it, that any World Finals venue has had so far. which is going to raise a lot of questions. I also looked at Ticketmaster when I bought my tickets, and I saw that like the end zone sections, there's no seats sold there. So I'm wondering, like, are they going to do like a drop in, or maybe like they're going to have race lanes going like on top, you know what I'm saying? Like big Chicago style. That would be sick. I would love that. And I think this is probably the best solution to having a World Finals in this venue, is that you actually can fit 2 tracks if you have enough time to build 2. You know what I mean? So that I'm hoping for that.
Absolutely. Well, some of what you touched upon, I definitely want to touch upon next, which is where the Ticketmaster seating plan comes into that. But Ewan, definitely don't want to forget about you. As someone who may go to, I believe this might be your first World Finals, but
It is.
as someone who may go to this for the first time, what are your thoughts when seeing this? You know, how has that affected? You know, I'm sure you want to go meet drivers, you want to meet Tom Mans. Obviously, you don't want to miss the competitions. You know, how is that affecting your sort of plan for whatever you want to get up to during that event?
Well, I just know it's gonna be a long day, and it's gonna be almost 12 hours of fun things to have at World Finals. Obviously, they're gonna take 4 hours between high jump and freestyle to build a track for us, so something's gonna change. I know that a lot of people online that were not there at the World Finals itself were complaining about that. Freestyle was kind of lackluster this year at World Finals 21, and so hopefully they want to change that up, and they want to change the track, so hopefully they don't get those complaints anymore.
Absolutely, and especially with, you know, what we have in store. Now, for those, I'm sure most of these people probably remember, but last year, people looked at the seating chart and kind of figured out that it was elevated start, and people had kind of figured that out. And Monster Jam had hinted at it. Obviously, they don't want to give it away, but we're not Monster Jam. We're going to speculate this because, as Reagan said, we have a very interesting seating chart. For those that are watching this, so remember, guys, you can listen to it on Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever you find your podcast, or you can watch it on YouTube. So make sure to check it out wherever you want. But for those that are taking the look on the screen, you guys can see where those seating sections are. However, I'm going to try and describe it for those people. Sections from, I believe it's like 106. It's too small. 106 to 100, along with section 203, 202, 201 is blocked off. There's a few more on the upper bowls. I think that's 388. Oh, sorry, 338, 309, and 340 or something like that. Those are blocked off. There's more at the bottom there that are blocked off. So I think that this kind of gives away what we're doing. It kind of gives away the, I guess, plans. I think a little shout out to Tyler Richmond, owner of Monster Jam Live Summer Showdown, the Rigs of Roads tour on Sim Monsters. And again, I'll put this up on screen. He did a custom track for his series. And it's got like berms up on the, which is kind of what Reagan was talking about, up on the stands. It's like this really cool style. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same. And in fact, it doesn't look like it's the same on both sides. And it looks like on one side it's further up than the other. So maybe it's one where they start elevated, they race down, they use the first bowl as a turn rather than going as high up as they did on the starting lines or whatever, and then race down. Another thing I wanted to point out too is something that I had thought about as well. Remember that we have these halftime shows. This year we had Low Cash. We obviously don't know what it is this year yet. Please, Metallica, please, come on. I know it won't be, but I'm praying. Please.
Kanye.
No, damn it. Don't give me someone lame. But we, you know, that is going to take up a significant amount as well. I'm thinking maybe some of the upper sections like the 201 or 202 or something, considering it's not the same on both sides. So, you know, have to keep those into play. Maybe some other things where it's like the driver interview area or something like that. I don't know. So keep that in mind when looking at some of these, that some of those blocked off bits might be things for the halftime performance or driver interviews, or the section where they record all the episodes and all that. But obviously some of it does kind of give away as to what kind of racing style we're going to get. So I'm going to hand it back to y'all. We'll start with Ewan. What do we think about the potential new racing style and what this seeding chart means for the World Finals?
I'm going to speculate here, as I think the racing style is going to be this, where they start like this, and then they go around, and they just do a little like, I guess, a little figure eight, I guess. I think that I would like to see that figure eight the most, because they set up with both sides, and I hope that happens. That's my speculation for it.
Well, Wayne, we'll go over to you. What do you think about this?
I think Ewan is onto the right idea there. I think they're going to start in the middle, maybe go up into the stands a little bit, probably not too much with this being a brand new venue, and somewhere in the middle. And if not, if these are really just blocked off stands for the concerts and stuff like that, we could see another over and under racing style, maybe done a little differently. So not sure what can happen, but there's many different options, and you have to take into account that they're able to take down whatever they built for racing a little bit and fix it up for high jump and freestyle. So looking forward to it. Not sure really what to predict right now.
Absolutely. And Reagan, what do you think?
I just had this thought right now. Who knows what they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
But what if they kind of did it like Vegas? So you start elevated on one side, and then you turn on the stands on the other side, and then you finish in the middle. I don't know. So that sounds pretty cool.
Honestly, I think any of these is entirely possible. My idea, I kind of like that. I have two ideas. One of them is going off of yours, Reagan, and one of them is kind of off the MJL thing. The MJL one is essentially what Tyler did for his tour, where it's essentially you start at one end, so they'll start up on the stands, they'll race down, and then they'll do over and under with some berms and chicanes, again, like Tyler Richmond's custom track. The other idea that I had, again, going off of Reagan's, is it's basically J-Hook, but it's like Chicago style. So they start at opposite ends, they make one turn or something, or they do like two turns or something, and it's basically like Chicago, but it's like elevated or something like that. I think that could be cool, where they start, opposite ends, elevated, go down, jump, turn around, use a bit of the berm, jump, or whatever, something like that. I don't know. I'm really excited to see what they have here for the World Finals. Now, before we end off today's episode, I've had a great time, and I think everyone in here has too, and I hope everyone listening at home has had as well. Any final thoughts about everything we've talked about, from World Finals to the tour lineups to anything? I'm going to hand it over to you guys. Any final thoughts? Ewan, we'll start with you. Final thoughts.
I think 2024 is going to be a great year for Monster Jam, as we have some very stacked tours, we haven't seen the tracks yet either. We'll see what happens with those. So yeah, it could be a very good year for Monster Jam.
Absolutely. Reagan, any final thoughts about everything that we've talked about today?
So this season we had in 2023 was the longest point season we'd ever seen, and it looks like we're returning to normalcy, doing a World Finals in May. So the events are more condensed, like they were spread out this year. Now they're more right there, and I think it's going to be a lot more tighter points. There's a lot less time to run away with the title, and all the lineups look incredible. All of them are very solid, where it's like, some pretty much how it's going to go down, but especially on the stadiums, there could be tons of big shakeups that we had not seen for years.
Absolutely. And Wayne, last but not least, what are your thoughts about what we've talked about?
Well, we had an amazing past few years since the return of Monster Jam, so I expect nonetheless, but great action. I think the stadiums are going to both give equally wow moments. Unlike this year, where it's more like blue giving like the craziest wow moments and red giving the, okay, this is like really good, consistent shows. I think this year coming up is going to be crazy action. Keep a lookout for Joe Foley and El Toro Loco. I think that name's going to bring him up more in the points than usual. Keep a lookout for Dalton Widener in the arenas. Looking forward to seeing what international shows they end up announcing in the coming few months.
Yes.
And looking forward to the tracks. We'll see if they change them up a little bit. We miss those big old tracks where they go crazy from 2011 all the way to probably 17, where they built big boy tracks. So we'll see if that happens. I doubt it, but today it's technical and consistency that takes the win. So tracks could still be cool. We'll see what happens. Really looking forward to this season, and I think they did a great job with the lineups.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited for this season. I think that some of the details that haven't been announced yet, like the tracks and the rest of the trucks, will be announced in an Inside Monster Jam podcast. They've very much been promoting that, which is awesome because I love listening to it, especially at the gym. It's fantastic. And they definitely want to tie some of the excitement into what's left on that podcast. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hit, November or December where there's barely anything happening and they want to do stuff then. Or probably December, to be honest, because that's when the Superstar Challenge is. Superstar in November. I just wanted to end on some final stuff. First off, thank you all so much for checking out the Bonus Time Monster Truck podcast. I really appreciate you guys and supporting me, and I really hope that I can bring you guys a new episode of Bonus Time every week. To be honest, I'm planning at the moment 2 episodes a week. That obviously will change. Should be released, I believe, every Tuesday and Friday is what I'm planning. And obviously the documentary style videos that you guys love will still be out. And if I need to do a news video or something else, I will do that as well. But Bonus Time is here to stay, and I'm really excited to see what you guys think of it and all of that. Have anything you want to say related to what we're talking about, let us know. I do know that there are 2 other things that 2 other people wanted to say. So before we get to that, I just also wanted to say, again, a reminder, you can check us out on YouTube, check out the video version of the podcast, or you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure to check us out. You can listen to the audio-only version, so you can listen to it wherever. If you drive into a Monster Jam show, you're like me, you're at the gym, you want to listen to me or whatever, up to you. So make sure to check us out there. So before we head out, I think Wayne wanted to say something, and I know Reagan wanted to say something. So Wayne, what do you have to say?
Just wanted to make one more point. A few years ago, before we had the whole pandemic, Monster Jam was considering bringing an international driver to World Finals. So it'd be really cool. I don't know how big the chances are. It'd be really cool to see an international driver make their way to World Finals and make their bid, hopefully into a 24 truck field. If not, hopefully a little more, hopefully not too much less.
Well, if they don't have a show on the same day.
Exactly.
That's what
happens. True. Well, Reagan, what is it that you had to say?
Well, if this is the end and I'm wrapping up, is it promo time?
Yes, it is. Okay. It's time.
Well, if you don't know already, I'm the Lord, Monster Jam Lord. Reagan's my name. And I travel to shows every weekend and get the best footage of any Monster Truck event out there and more. So go check out Monster Jam Lord, Monster Truck Lord on YouTube if that's what you're into. I also have a 3rd channel I'm building up recently. If it's more focused on the video game stuff like BeamNG Drive, Rigs of Roz, I have really big plans for that are going to be super exciting. Going over to youtube.com/@ or whatever they do, The Lord's Garage. Make sure to subscribe to that. Big exciting stuff coming up there. And one more thing, I have to thank my friends at Fast Metal for this terrific pair of glasses. If you would like a pair of your own, make sure you go to fastmetal.com and use code MJL20 at checkout to save 20% on your snazzy pair of glasses.
That was the best. I'm going to give you standing. I would stand up, but I'm probably going to be off the frame. That was an amazing promo. Oh, Toe Mutter Racing. Let's go.
Check out Toe Mutter Racing.
Yeah.
How about that? We're in the same shirt today. Isn't that great?
It's like it was meant to be. So, guys, again, thank you all so much for watching, and make sure to check everyone out. If you want to see more of Ewan, he's over at MonsterTalk. You can check out our MonsterTalk Discord, where Ewan, Mr. Dupe Group, is always interacting, and we're always talking about Monster Truck stuff. You want to check out Avengers Racing, Wayne Chiaki, make sure to check out his channel, and the Lord Reagan Samansky, make sure to check out his channels as well. And again, make sure to check out all of my stuff. Bonus time, YouTube version is on YouTube Music. You can listen to the audio-only version. I'm super excited. We'll be back with another episode, hopefully this Friday. And I want to thank you all so much for the love and support over at MonsterTalk, and for all of these gentlemen here that did this podcast. Thank you guys for coming on. I'm really excited. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time with another edition of Bonus Time. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you later. Take care, guys.
Check out Monster Talk.